Hi everyone, coming at you from Noble Woods Park in my Final Fantasy VI shirt. And why? Yeah, why am I wearing what's basically a ugly Christmas sweater style shirt today? Because it's Final Fantasy VI's 30th birthday, and I haven't played it for that long. I got it at Christmas 1997. And at the time, I didn't know what to do with it. I played it and I didn't understand the active time battle. So I yeah, my initial impression was not actually positive. I took it over to a friend's house because I had told him, "Do you want this game?" And he over the phone, and he paused. And he's like, "Blackjack, I'll take it, but I want to show it to you first, and then you can ask me again." So I took it over to his house, and he showed me how that worked because I had it was really my first turn-based RPG. And like once I got past the initial fight, I was absolutely blown away. I think I got up to the world map at his house, and I was like, "Yeah, sorry, I'm keeping this game. Sorry." And he's like, "Yeah, I kind of figured you would." There was a save file on it from all the way at the very end of the game, so I kind of got spoiled. Except he told me, "Oh, this is like halfway through," so it was kind of an interesting thing. It's like, "Oh no, actually, that's not halfway through." Okay, but without Final Fantasy VI, I wouldn't be the person I am today. At the time that I played it, I was going through a hell of a lot. Like, a hell of a lot. It was my senior year of high school in a 97 going into 98, and I graduated 98. And school was not good to me, like at all. So, having a game about the power to change the world. And I mean, a lot of games are about the power to change the world, you know? But having something having a character like Tara who was mistreated her whole life and still believed in doing everything she could. And even when she was overcome with fear, she was still full of love. You know, when you find her in Moblitz in the second part of the game, and she's trying to hold off her true self, because her true self really is both her human and Esper self. When she's trying to hold off that part of herself, but she's still serving as surrogate mother to these children, it's it's beautiful, you know, every little bit. And not to say that taking care of kids is a little bit, but every bit that anyone can do. Like there's the part with the two kids planting flowers. Every little bit helps. And, you know, really, when you come down to it, you look at history, the power of the everyday person is really the only thing that's ever changed things, for good or bad. It's because the people demand change. It's, you know, I wish people realized that more often. But that's really one of the main tenets of Final Fantasy VI is that, you know, heroism doesn't have to come from a noble source. It just has to come from a noble person. You know, I mean, you know, you have an armored knight and everything. Cyan is really the more traditional hero, but then you know you have the thief, you have Celis, who was raised as a villain, and you have the runaway noble. You have the gambler, who the first thing you see him do is commit a felony. I mean, seriously, I actually, you know, Setzer. Obviously, I got my screen name from him, Setzer Gabiani. I had been really into X-Men for a short time, and he reminded me of Gambit. So, yeah, the old X-Men cartoon is partially to blame for my passion for Final Fantasy VI. It was a whole big melange of things, and everything about that game just blew me away. The music, the characters. I know the writing was cut down for the SNES version, but the writing, I I still think Kefka's rant of "I hate, yeah," is better than any of the other translated versions. It's so like simplistic and primal. And I know like everyone has a love hate relationship with Ted Wilsley, but you know, he really did do the best he could with what he had. The everything had to be cut down and sanitized, and he really did do the best he could. It I know people will talk about like Sid's line about how people go to jump off the cliff to cheer themselves up, but even as a kid, I understood what he was saying. I didn't feel that that was changing what they were doing. It was very clearly, I mean, euphemistically, of course, very heavily euphemistically saying that the people trapped on the island would rather die than continue on. And I just don't understand why people say that that line sanitized what they had been doing, or that it was trying to hide it in any way. I thought it was really clear even then. Something I really wish is that FF6 got a good remake. Because, you have things like the Pixel Remaster, and it smooths out the graphics, and it changes the color palette. And I just don't like that. It doesn't have the same raw look to it. There are other games that look nice in a pastel color palette. I'm sure FF5 looks great in a pastel color palette, but like Castel, is that what I said? you, uh, this is all off the cuff. There's dogs barking in the background. There's people walking in front of me. I'm sitting on a park bench. But yeah, but FF6 loses something when it looks bright. Because the brightness, it's in a very grim world. And the brightness comes from the characters. It comes from within. You have places like Tamasa that, are vibrant green and everything. And then you have everything get ruined in the second part of the game, which I think is, the color palette changes, everything gets duller. It's great visual storytelling. Like, the whole world is just hanging on. But that people can cling to life even though they know they can't live forever. That they can do what they can in the here and now is vital. And I wish more people really understood that. Not just in the context of the game, but in the context of human history. And I know there's so many games that tell the same basic story, but here, obligatory Athena. But I just love this game so much. Like, for all I talk about Pokemon and everything like that, as much as the ending of Scarlet and Violet deeply affected me to the point where I actually lost sleep, Final Fantasy VI still has just this emotional reaction that's completely unmatched. And I wish that I could experience it for the first time. I mean, there's just that feeling of exploration. I mean, yeah, other games now do it bigger, do it better, do it more detailed. That's actually another reason I think it needs a better remake. People say, "Oh, remake it in Octopath Traveler graphics." No, Final Fantasy VI looked great from the beginning. Maybe give it a little visual punch up, but don't change its presentation. That's what the Pixel remasters and all the other stuff has done wrong. The PC port, no, it looks horrible. I want it, honestly, to look, to take a cue from the Radiant Historia remake for the 3DS. It kept the original graphics. The original game was on the DS, so it wasn't especially dated, but it was very SNES style. Someone's yelling back there. What they did is they punched up the menus, they added some subplots. They kind of, they kind of tweaked the ending, and it's kind of debatable about the effectiveness of that. But they took the original graphics and they added voice acting over it, and I think honestly that was a really nice touch. They didn't have to make the graphics super modern to do that, and I think that was really neat. Hi. Hi, puppy. And I think that it was a really neat way to do things. And I don't know. Do you still think I could play Tara? I know she has her voice actress from Dissidia. I That's another thing. Final Fantasy VI. I had done voice acting before, but Rabtunes is what really got me into voice acting. He was like, "Yeah, I got like Rachel. You could be Go-Go. I like your gal voice."
My gal voice, basically just Gilmon.
And then, like a few weeks later, he's like, "Hey, you want to play Terra?" And I'm like, "Do I want to play Terra?" You might as well ask me, "Do you want $1 million?" uh, Goodness, I could play Terra a lot better now. I really could. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I played her too waif-like, but I feel like I could do her more complexities now. An interesting thing, my Go-Go voice is just my Emmerich voice, that you also know as my Rose voice and my Director Clavel voice. Uh, so that was the first appearance of that. And then Rachel was basically just my regular voice. And she has two lines, and people love them so much. It's so funny. It's, oh, oh my gosh. I hope you guys have watched Final Fantasy VI in a nutshell. I it really kicked off my journey into voice acting, and I love it. Uh, Pardon. Allergy season. Brilliant. I just I just love Final Fantasy VI so much. I have struggled for 14 minutes now to put it conventionally into words, and I just can't. Because how do you express something so complicated? And if you guys know my writing, you know that I tend to think I have a way with words. Other people say I have a way with words. So, for me to be at a loss for words to express how I feel about Final Fantasy VI is overwhelming, stunning, um, humbling. And those are the kinds of words I would use even to describe the game itself. Overwhelming, stunning, humbling. You really feel like you're a part of something greater than yourself because you know you are. It's about unity with others. It's about power of the self as well, which is it's kind of funny because that's sort of what you get from the Lego movie. That, you know, the breaking free of conformity, but still finding yourself with others. And, oh goodness. I had actually better catch up with my dad now. I've been talking for almost 16 minutes now, and I really haven't been able to put into words what I feel. So I hope that gives you the impression of what this game means to me. It's that's really a masterpiece, and even if you have to play it with the downgraded graphics and the pastel color palette and all of that stuff, still play it because there is nothing else like it. Like, again, so many other games have the same sort of framework, the same sort of story, the same sort of morality lesson, but none of them really hit in quite the same way as Final Fantasy VI. So really, if you haven't, you really do owe it to yourself. I I'm gonna leave you with a shot of the forest and just think about it is on us to protect everything and everyone. That's, the power of people as a civilization and as individuals. It really is on every single one of us. And every single one of us has the potential to change everything.